everybody. Anthony James Hodel, CEO and founder of the Athletic Scholarship Corporation. And today, I mean, everybody that knows me, I'm a football guy, played every level, coached, and well, I got to tell you, Coach Bernard Clark Jr., I searched all over the internet and I found one picture of you smiling. Just one. So played at the U, nasty football player, just nasty. And, went on to the Bengals, had a career year over at Robert Morris University. I've had some prospects go there. Very happy. The feedback I got from guys that went there, they love the experience, the academics, the culture. And if you could give a little background just about, we're going to talk about name, image, likeness. We're going to talk about recruiting, all that stuff that's not appealing to these kids or other coaches. But you've seen the spectrum. You've seen back when I was in high school, I was sending out VHS tapes in a bulky letter for $20 a piece. Now you have digital and social and all these distractions. But if you could start with just, your background from the U to today, it'd be great.
Yeah, like you said, man, my name's Bernard Clark Jr. Didn't start using Junior until a few years ago, probably about 20 years ago now. It's been a while. I didn't use when I was young, didn't want to have the Junior on there. But as I got older, I understand the importance of being attached to my father and wanting everybody to understand. When I lost him in 2019, it was even more of a situation where I want to start using his name as much as possible because how much I love that old man and how much I miss him. The crazy thing is I'm from Tampa, Florida, born and raised in Tampa, Florida. Went to high school. High school wasn't very good at football. They're still not very good at football. It was Lato High School in Tampa, Florida. If you talk to anybody about Lato High School when it comes to football, they kind of laugh at you. Myself and another friend of mine named Mike, he played I won't say the school's name because I don't like the school. No, I'm just joking. He went to Notre Dame. So I went to Miami. 2 years later, he went to Notre Dame. And so it's a situation, got to Miami. When I took the trip, like you said, back then, I remember sending out videos. I think the coaches sent out videos or someone caught a glimpse of your game and they told somebody. It was more word of mouth than anything else. When I was in high school, it was just one of those situations. Like I said, the high school I went to, I don't think we've had a winning season since 1993 at Lato High School when it comes to football. Just not a very good football program. So myself and Michael Help, the young man that played at Notre Dame, he played center. We're like two biggest names. And then I think later on Mike Jenkins came out and a couple other guys and guys that you know about came out of that university. But going down to Miami, I picked the school because it felt like home. When I took the visit there, it came down to Miami, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma, Florida State, and I can't remember the other one. But when it came down to it, I took the visit down there. It just felt like home. It was one of those situations where I walked on campus and the jokes just started flying. Talking about my head, talking about everything else. And it just felt like I did when I was at home. I never had brothers. I'm the youngest of four, have three older sisters. And so when I got on there, those guys felt just like my brothers. When I got there, I fit right in, loved everything about it, loved my experience. But just like everyone else, and I'm sure you experienced the same thing, if you don't play as a freshman, you go in. If you were the guy at your high school, now you're not getting the opportunity you thought you'd get. I was frustrated and upset. It's thinking I'm a transfer and all this other crazy stuff. My mom and dad were like, "You're not transferring. You're not going anywhere. You'll be fine." And a guy who at the time was a priest, a chaplain of our team named Father Leo also spoke with me about that situation. Now, of course, I stayed and fell in love with the university I was at. Won 2 national championships when I was there. Went 55-5 was the record while I was attending University of Miami. Like I said, I was redshirted. Had an opportunity to get drafted in the 3rd round by the Cincinnati Bengals. And I always tell guys now that I'm a coach, the one thing that's most important is you have to become a student of the game, because when you walk into the locker room at the next level, I knew that from the neck down, I deserved to be in that locker room. I was big enough. I was strong enough. I was fast enough. I hit hard enough. But what I didn't know was, and I think, can't think of his name right now, the punter, Pat McAfee. He says it best. At that level, you have to make up your mind. Am I going to become a pro? Or am I just going to be good at the sport? And I was just good at the sport. I didn't become a pro because from the neck up, I didn't learn the game. I didn't study the game. I didn't learn the game of football the way I should have learned the game of football. I didn't study quarterbacks' tendencies. I didn't study offensive tendencies, but everyone around me did. It's only lasted 2 years. When I got cut, tried to figure out what was going on in my life, what direction I wanted my life to go in. Tried a lot of things. Got a degree in business administration. So thought I wanted to open my own business, be a part of that. So I tried a lot of business ventures, spent a lot of money trying to figure out what I wanted to do in life.
Brutal.
It's very
worse than 2-a-days owning businesses.
And the thing that's crazy about it, you don't understand it And the worst thing about it, at one point I was thinking about buying a Domino's Pizza franchise. And of course you have to work there before you buy it. And I got there and realized how many employees called in late, how many called in sick, how many didn't want to work, how many people complained about pizza, and you go
you get bad teammates, you get a bad team. Bad teammates, bad team.
And I said to myself, this isn't something I want to do. And in May of 96, I gave my life to Christ. And I asked God for direction. I said, hey, God, can you just point me in the right direction? And he pointed me back to football. And I was like, nah, this can't be it. I don't want to do this. Because, again, I wasn't a student of the game. So to become a coach was kind of like ludicrous to me. But when I started and I walked to that locker room and I started talking to those young men and they started looking at me and I said, man, I must be saying something they want to hear. And then I started studying the game of football as a coach and realized how much I didn't know about football. And realized how much I loved it, but also fell in love with not the X's and the O's of the game, but the Jimmies and the Joes. And you've heard that a ton of times. I wanted to make sure I could put those young men in the right position. And my mission my mission statement then and my mission statement now is to create an environment on and off the field to continue what families have done and help these guys become better men, better husbands, and better fathers. The three most important things ever going to be in their life. Matter of fact, I believe in it so much I wrote a book about it. The book is called Ascension, A Coach's Guide to Becoming a Better Man, Husband, and Father. And it's something I truly believe in, and it's something I'll never walk away from. So I understand that God has put me in a position, but it's not about the position. It's about the purpose. And the purpose he's put me here to help these young men grow, that's what I believe here at Robert Morris University. When I bring a coach in, that's what I tell him. That's what you have to believe in. Again, we're going to coach him because your life and my life has been molded by the game of football. But in the game of football, when you're on that field, you realize you have to understand determination, dedication, discipline, honesty, trust. You can go on and on and on, all the things that we had to learn on that football field. Those are the things that you need in life. And those are the things that become extremely important in life. So we try to instill those things in our guys on the football field and helping them understand that football is a microcosm of what you're going to go through in life, the ups and downs of winning and losing and working out and getting in shape and falling out of shape, the same way that life's going to treat you. You're going to get beat up in life. But you have to enjoy the process. You know, sometimes God's going to have you in a good space, and sometimes you're going to be in a difficult space. But it doesn't make a difference. You got to enjoy it. Enjoy the ride and ride along. So that's kind of like me in a nutshell.
A couple of things, you just took me right off the script of the show, but I went back to coaching because I had a troubled childhood, very, very troubled childhood, and a lot of anger, a lot of issues. And somehow found my way in football in middle school and just stuck with it because that's how I coped with anger. And it ironically made me a good football player. Mm-hmm. So I always say to people, you don't play football because you're completely 100% normal, whatever normal is. You got to be a little off to play this game. 100%. So I went back to visit high school. My coach said, you owe us something back. And I understood it real quick, what he meant. And I was just like taken overwhelmed. My body was like, wow, I would be dead if it wasn't for this game. I knew that. Mm-hmm. And I went back and coached and, business owner, entrepreneur. It got to a stage where I couldn't invest the time. And I found that these guys were looking at me like I looked at my coach at that time, not knowing what I'm giving back and taking from them. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us overlook that. We get into this name, image, likeness, and the sexiness of the internet and the appeal of, being important in this name, image, likeness, money. If you were handed a couple mil back in the day going into your freshman year in college, how much do you think you would have saved?
None. And I'm just being honest with you. It's a situation where from the time we're 18 to 23, and my mom and dad could have told me to save this and save that. Would I have listened at that age? I don't know. It's one of those situations. I didn't grow up in an environment. My first contract, I remember my dad asking me, he said, how much did you pay in taxes? And I told my dad how much I paid in taxes. And my dad said, your mom and I haven't made that together. So it gave me an understanding of how much money I was making. But at the same time, I still didn't know what I was making. Now, I was the kind of person that I didn't spend money. I'm not a guy that's frivolous. I didn't spend a whole lot of money. Even when I got to the NFL, my first car was a Pathfinder. Everybody's like, why don't you buy a Benz? I'm like, no, Benz costs too much money. Repairs cost too much money. I don't want to do that. I don't like spending. I'm the same way today. I just don't like spending money. It drives my wife crazy. I don't like buying clothes. I don't like doing those things. So I probably would have saved it. But at the same time, I'm not sure how much I would have saved or if I'd have did frivolous things with it with my friends. And that's the thing more than anything else. And I think that's what these young men are getting caught up in. Do I think it's bad? No. I don't think it's bad, because if you can tell me one person that doesn't get paid for their name, their image, and their likeness, I'd say, okay, it's no big deal. I mean, you got coaches. I mean, their coaches making $10 million a year and not winning. So their
Right.
coaches making 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10 million and not winning. So it's a situation where, should these young men get paid? I think they should, on their name, their image, and their likeness. Yes, they should. But that's not what they're getting paid on right now. You know that, and I know that. Not a whole lot of guys are getting paid name, image, and likeness. They're getting paid off the collectives that go
Right.
to that. And that's where they're getting paid from. And a lot of people don't understand that. But I think they should. There's no doubt about it. But I also think there should be incentives to it. I think there needs to be incentives to it, something that attracts them to it, as opposed to just giving it to them. Because from 18 to 23, you have no idea what you want to do in life, let alone someone giving you $2 million, like you said, and saying, and do this the right way. And a lot of these young men, doesn't make a difference what background they come from. You know, the money is that's not good in the situation. And a lot of them come from bad backgrounds. Some of them come from great backgrounds and still spend the money. So
I see the parents spending the kids' money. I mean, they got, I got a kid at Ohio State right now, linebacker. He's got a Maserati and he can't afford the maintenance bill on it because the collective spread the money out. And now you got moral clauses. You're getting in trouble. I mean, you got to tighten it up because you're giving, money is power, and that's just the reality. And
absolutely.
I think they need to put in escrow. I think they need to put some hooks in it,
Mhm.
invest it, and actually parlay their money. Because I know if you would have handed me that kind of money, man,
But you got to remember too, you and I are speaking. I'm 58. How old are you?
52. So I'm in the same wheelhouse.
So we're speaking from a totally different age group. We've been 23. We've been 18. We've been 35. These guys haven't been there yet. And I don't think the parents understand that. Some of these parents haven't even gotten to where we are right now when it comes to certain things. I've had money. So I understand now that I'm making a little bit of money. It's invested. It's in IRAs. It's in a portfolio, which is something totally different than something for these young men. But again, it goes back to someone needs to sit them down. I think some people do sit them down, but they're still not listening. So I don't know how you go about telling them, hey, this is what you need to do with it. Because at my level, we don't have NIL. We don't have collectors. We don't have that kind of money. I mean, some FCS programs do. Obviously, North Dakota State does. But you got someone like us. We just don't have that type of cash. We don't have that money. We don't have the capabilities of doing those things for young men. So there are other incentives. We got to tell them, hey, you're here to get an education. The most important thing I tell all these guys, I said, guys, look, if you come here, I'm not going to promise you're going to start. I'm not going to promise you're going to get to the NFL. But if you do what we ask you to do, you're going to graduate from college. You're going to get your degree. And they got to understand that more than anything else, because you can say what you want to say. Everybody I went to school at the University of Miami, they didn't get drafted to the NFL. Just didn't happen. And I played with some guys who were good that didn't get drafted, who I thought would get drafted. I thought Maurice Crum would have a 10-year NFL career. Maurice was a 2-time All-American at the University of Miami. He was a free agent to the Bucks. So, things happen, with guys you think are outstanding football players, and it just doesn't happen for them. And not only that, all that other stuff, and you still have to be able to be in the right position at the right time for it to happen. And that's what it boils down to.
Has this name, image, likeness, money changed your perspective on who you go after? I mean, it's like, when I was younger and single, I just asked every pretty girl. I just said, forget it. If I hear no, it's cool. I've heard no before. But, have you caught yourself maybe saying, I'm just not going to get this guy. I'm not going to spend the time, or, how's it change your mentality?
I think as a coach sometimes, and been at the FCS level, there's some guys I'm just not going to go after because of where I am. Like if Frank Gore was coming out of high school, I'm not talking Frank Gore. That didn't make any sense. If I'm not going to talk, God bless the dead. I'm not going to shout Sean Taylor, because of where I am. But there are some guys that we look at that go in the portal that we maybe didn't have before because of name, image, and likeness, because now the bigger guys come to the school. Now those guys have to go to another level to try to get on the football field. It helps us out sometimes when it comes to things like that. Because again, all we're promising is scholarship. That's what we're promising you. Promise you 3 hots in a cot, putting you in a position to play football. We don't have the glitz and glamour in FCS football. We're riding buses to games. What we have is a 100-yard field and 53 and 30 yards wide. I mean, that's what we have. Let's come play some football. If this is what you want to do, if you want to go to college, play football, and get a degree, this is where you want to come at. Now, if you're looking for other things, or if your parents are looking for other things, because in a lot of cases, to be honest with you, I think it's the parents more than the players. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I know when I was 18, if I was trying to get money, I'd be in a situation too. But I think a lot of these cases, these parents trying to get these guys more money and get them to $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. People listen to the $1 million deals, but there are a lot of $100,000, $1,000 deals out there that are doing great. You got a young man getting $100,000 a year. And when you think about it, Anthony, if someone gave you $100,000 a year when you played in college, $100,000 a year, you left school with $400,000, because if you live off campus, you still get the stipend to live off campus. You still get the cost of attendance. I mean, so there's money outside of the collective money you're getting when you're at these big schools. So you have the money to pay for an apartment and do all that other stuff, but you have $400,000 when you graduate. You don't make it to the NFL.
In a better position, quicker.
You don't make it to the NFL, but you got $400,000 when you leave college. You know how many people, how many students, regular students, would want $400,000 to leave once they left college? And that's what these young men aren't looking at, and that's what a lot of these parents aren't looking at. They're not looking at the big picture. So when your son makes $2.4 million one year, then next year I want 2.3. But wait, slow down. You're going to get another 2.4. You're almost at $5 million when you leave college, and you may not go to the pros, but you have stacked up some money. You can put that money in a 401k and get your first job. You can put that in the IRA. You can put it in the annuity and let it build up. So you got to be smart about what you're doing. But I think people get caught up in money so much that they lose focus on what's important.
I think you also have to play in a system that fits you and your character and your playing style. I mean, I talked to a head basketball coach at a big program, and they're throwing money around like the money you're talking about. That's football and basketball, revenue generating sports. And it changes their philosophy of, I've got to win right now. I got to go to the portal. I got guys that I talk to that are not even recruiting freshmen, high school kids.
No, it is tough to recruit freshmen now, because and for us, the reason it's tough to recruit them, and it has really nothing to do with the money. It's more about who has the experience. So if I can go to a guy who's at a D2 school and he played D tackle at a D2 school for a year or two, and he goes in the portal, and I can get him and bring him up to the FCS level, and this young man has played over the past 2 years. He's played against college players. That's a lot better than someone who's been playing against high school guys for the last 3 years. So it's a good chance to get those guys. The high school guys we bring in, normally they're guys they're bringing in, we're thinking about we might redshirt these guys. Now you have those occasions where guys come in and they play right away. We have 2 guys that did that for us, and they were freshmen, and they decided to get in the portal after that because they wanted to try to move to an FBS program. And I understood that, but it's a situation where we're trying to bring them here and help them understand, guys, we're giving you the opportunity to get an education and play. So a lot of times when we're looking at those high school guys, we have to think about that, because you got to think to yourself as a coach, do I go after this D2 guy, this D3 guy who's played football for the last year or last 2 years, or do I go against this high school guy who's playing against high school guys? Because it goes back to what you just asked me. A guy that's going to come here and play right away, it's going to be tough to get him. It's going to be hard to get that Frank Gore, that Sean Taylor here at Robert Morris University, but we can get that other freshman and bring him here, and we got this guy coming from a D2 school. We can groom that other guy a little bit longer and put him in a better position. So, yeah, it's definitely changed looking at high school guys. We still look at them, don't get me wrong. We got a lot of young high school guys coming in, and we feel like we can groom and stuff like that. But also right now in the portal, as we're looking at it, we're looking at a lot of D2, D3, FBS guys that are coming back. And it's tough for me, like I just told you, to bring a Power 5 guy here, because now you're in a situation where this young man's gotten 5 sweatsuits last year. He's gotten 6 pair of shoes. He's lived off campus. He's gotten a lot that he's not going to get here. So I got to understand, this is what I can do for you as a coach. This is what I can do to you, put your game at another level. These are things that we can do for you here at Robert Morris University. Can't give you the money, but we can develop your game. We can make you a better football player. We can put you in a position to achieve the things you're trying to achieve, because, that's the reality of it. Even at FCS programs, I think, 13 guys got drafted out of FCS programs this year, 13 to 14 guys. We're talking about 129 teams. We're talking about 12,900 guys. You count 100 guys per team, and 14 guys got drafted. So you got to put yourself in a position where you're an outstanding football player, period, and even more so in Division II, Division III FCS program.
Yeah, and you try to mentor, and things have changed where you could say it's okay to go to a 2 or 3 and just dominate and get your film ready and get in the portal, and then you can go up, down, or whatever you want to do. You don't have to sit anymore.
Right.
It's the beauty of it. But that, like you said, it changes the philosophy of a college coach. He's kind of like a hybrid NFL coach, because I got to get free agency first, and then I'm going to go look at these rookies, and they don't understand that everybody's chasing the big thing. And then if they don't like how you're talking to them, they're in the transfer portal. So, it's a different world. And it's, hopefully it will get better, but
Well, the thing is, like you and I talk about, again, it always goes back to the parents. And I'll be totally honest. When I was at the University of Miami, and obviously we didn't have money back then, but when I talked about transferring, my mother and father that sat me down and said, no, you're not transferring, and this is why. Yeah, this is why you're not transferring. Well, it's no longer there anymore. So we can keep saying it's the young man, it's the young man, it's the young man. A lot of times it's the people around them that are trying to convince them, you need to go in the portal. You're so much better than that. You should be starting. You should not be sitting the bench. That's who's talking to them in their ear, and then not explaining to them, hey, be committed. You made a commitment to this university, make a commitment to this university, play the way you want to play. And again, it's a situation where if a young man decides to go in the portal, I'm not the kind of coach that gets upset. I'm not going to blow it out of proportion. If it happens, it happens. Prime example, we had a young man, his name was Jamarian Jackson. And first year he was redshirted. Second year, he was defensive rookie of the year. And he came to me and said, Coach, I'm going to go in the portal. I said, okay, why do you want to go in the portal? He said, Coach, I just think I could put myself in a better position. We're talking about a 6'2" corner. He was like 6'1.5", 6'2" corner. And he was defensive rookie of the year. So he came and we had a conversation. He decided to go in the portal. I said, look, I'm here for you if you need to talk to me. I'm not going to turn my back on you because you want to go in the portal. Here's the pros, here's the cons. I said, and you know and I know if you go in the portal, you leave here, you're not coming back here. So regardless of what happens, I'm not bringing you back because once you made up your mind, you don't want to be at Robert Morris. You don't want to be at Robert Morris. So I get it. So he goes in the portal, and the first he gets offered. Boom, Akron offers him. And a week after he offered Akron, UVA calls him. And then UVA calls me and asks me the ins and outs of what's going on with him. And then he calls me and says, Coach, what do you think I should do? Again, gave him the pros and the cons. And I said, now, if you take a visit to UVA, understand
it's over.
Akron's going to drop you. It's not going to be a situation where you can go FCF. But you did leave here to do what? He said, Coach, I left here to go Power 4. And that's what I want to do. I said, well, take the visit. Took the visit. He's at UVA now. Things are going well for him. I think he started like 9 games last year because a couple of guys got injured. And so he put himself in a position where he's a 6'1.5" corner. So he has an opportunity to make it as far as he wants to make it. But to me, I'm not going to get upset with these guys if they go in the portal. Just I understand I got to talk to you and understand the ins and outs of what's going on. I'm going to be honest and upfront with you why you should and why you shouldn't do it. But we have guys that come to us that play, they play 30 plays in a year and like, Coach, I'm going to the portal. I just want to see, I want to put my test the waters and see what's going on. Well, with me, you're not going to test the waters. You better do a cannonball because you're not coming back here. You better make sure you know what's going on. But I give them the pros and the cons. If their parents want to call me, I give the parents the pros and the cons. I don't ever want a young man to get stuck in the transfer portal. That's what he has to understand. You can still play football here and still contribute here and be a great player for us. I don't want you going to the portal and get stuck. And I'll tell you if you're going to get stuck. If I think you're going to get stuck, you're going to put yourself in a bad position.
Do you and your staff spend a lot of time on social media when you look at prospects, and be it transfer portal, or I know transfer portal is a little easier because you could talk to another college coach. Yeah. A high school coach is going to sugarcoat some things sometimes to try to up their antes. So in the community that's, kids transfer high schools now. I mean, they're transferring and moving and open enrollment and all that craziness. But, when you look at talking to another college coach, they're usually, this is what you're dealing with. Here's what you got to be ready for. And because we all have strengths and weaknesses. Yeah. But on a character issue, I think football IQ is learned if you want to learn it, right?
Absolutely.
Physical is all practice and diet and training. But the character is something you just can't fix that quick. There's no way for you to really assess that when you're recruiting guys and being a character guy. I know you have my understanding, like a mandate, like if you want to be recruited by me, you need to come to my camp. Is that still a philosophy or not as much because of the portal?
Not as much, to be honest with you. We probably watch more film than anything, Anthony. I make sure our coaches watch as much, even high school guys, they watch as much film as possible. And then the other thing you just talk about, character. I mean, a lot of times you call other coaches, call other places, especially with the portal guys. There's a young man we're looking at, I won't say his name or what school he was at, but I knew one of the coaches at school he was transferring from, and I called him. I watched him on film. And I'm like, man, the guy had like 81 tackles, played unbelievable, did a great job. But then I'm like, call his coach. Coach, got a weed problem, talked back to the coach, had an issue, good player for us. He had no problems as a player, and he didn't go to class all the time. Situation where he may be if a guy's at a 2.0, 2.1, I'm going to really have to find more about his character if his grades are at that situation right there. Because to me, you got to go to class. If you don't go to class, you can't play. So
yeah, you're there to get education, not
to hang out. So it's a situation. And you know, and I know it ain't about, there's no GPA on your degree. So I understand that. But there's a difference between a guy who just won't go to class and a guy who's just a slow processor and is taking the time to learn the information he needs to learn and processing that information in order to get the good grades he's looking for. So you may have a guy that's a 2.5, 2.6, and a coach say, Coach, he's doing what he can. He's busting his behind in the classroom. He's taking care of business. Young man's not a problem. He's not an issue or anything like that. But then you got those guys who should be at a 3.0 because they had a 18 or 19 coming out of on the ACT coming out of high school, and now they're at a 2.0 because they want to mess around. So those things are prevalent when you're talking about guys in the portal. And when you're talking about high school guys, you still want to get in touch with that guidance counselor. You still want to talk to teachers because, like you said, that coach is going to try to boost them up a little bit and make sure the young man gets the scholarship that he's looking for. But when you talk to those guidance counselors and you talk to those teachers, and sometimes you can talk to the janitor. If it's a small school and you talk to the right person, how are they treating the custodian? How are they treating the lunchroom lady? I mean, you got a lot of guys, you'll walk in and they may say, you know what, he's one of the nicest guys, treats me special, treats me like any other person, he treats me here. And that's a great situation. You have the one guy, guidance counselor, like hadn't been here, haven't talked to him about college. All he's worried about is playing football. You know, all those things you start adding up. So you got to, then the red flags start coming up. You got to make sure you pay attention to those red flags because as a coach, you know, you get enamored by how great he is as a player and lose focus on how he looks as a person.
Yeah, I mean, it's 100% accurate because, I mean, I remember looking back at myself in high school and the arrogance and the, you know, and I think all of us as we mature and have families and become fathers and leaders, you look back and go, man, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, I just would not do that I did. But I always treated people, it didn't matter race, religion, you know, all these things that they call woke now. It's been around since the beginning of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have a right to be who you want to be, what you want to do, as long as you're not hurting everybody else around you. Do what you do, right?
Yep.
So I was always okay. You know, I was raised in a diverse community, a mixed family, so it never really became an issue for me. I treated people really well, especially the really intelligent people. I'm like, I need you to be my friend because I need help with these. So, you know, a lot of growing up now, a lot of guys I know are IRS agents, you know, investigators, executives of, you know, big board members at big companies. And they've always said, man, you know, you were a great football player and you were popular, but you were cool with me. You always treated me good. And I'm like, I don't know why I wouldn't. So I think that resonates. And I try to tell people that people are going to talk to people to figure out who you really are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And they need to. And as a coach, you have to talk to other people outside of his realm of playing football, because obviously everybody that knows him with football knows him as a good football player. So
Right.
that's one of the situations that they have to look for. And when I was coming out of high school, and I always say this, I would never say the coach's name, but my coach tried to keep me from getting a scholarship. And I didn't know anything about it, but he told everybody I was hard to coach. I was uncoachable. I was an a-hole. And he went on and on and on. And I didn't know this until after I signed with Miami, because one of the coaches that was at the time, he was at another university. He called my mom and my dad, and he told my mom and dad exactly what the head coach was saying about me. And that's how I found out about it. So it was a situation where that's what was going on. I don't know why he said it, but, you know, now that I look back, like you said, maybe I was. Maybe I was uncoachable. That's how he felt about me, because I did have a little arrogance to me when I was in high school, you know, because of the situation where I was one of the better players on the field. So maybe the way I came across to him, that's how I was. And then him telling me, you know, he did a situation where he tried to sabotage my career, but it didn't happen. It didn't work out. But it's a situation where as I got older and I started understanding, and I became a man of God, and I started listening to what God was telling me, and you were a little bit of an a-hole. Hey, yeah. You didn't do these. You didn't do that. And so it was a situation where you look back and you start realizing, yeah, a lot of things he said probably were true at that time. So, again, it goes back to make sure you treat people the way you want to be treated. Plain and simple. It's not anything else, you know. And like you said, I'm glad you said the way woke is now, because the way woke is now had nothing to do with what woke is actually about. When the term started, woke, back in the 1970s, 1960s, when my dad told me about woke, had nothing to do with what people think it is now. It's a totally different. Back then, it's about actually being woke back then and understanding your surroundings and understand what could happen to you, as opposed to what I don't know what they use it for now. So I'm glad you said the term they use now is woke and not the actual what woke actually means.
Yeah. I mean, I passed my coach's window and it's all glass office. He was talking to Penn State and said, head case. And I look back and I go, yeah, he's right.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think you could be nasty and you could do all those check the boxes as a football player. And then when that, final ticker goes down to zeros, you just got to reset and be a good person and funnel all the things that are wrong or your anger or however you use the sport. Because like I said earlier, we don't play this game because everything's wired right.
exactly, exactly. And
Running into
I love it.
300-pound guys is a painful collision.
You know, and I know. I tell our guys all the time. This game is assault and battery becomes legal on game day. That's what it boils down to. Assault and battery becomes. This is organized violence. They can try to take the violence out of the game. They can. You can't. You can't.
Chills. I'm getting chills. I love it. I love it.
It's just like you said. It's every day. I'm running as fast as I can. I'm trying to knock you out every single play that I can. This is organized violence. You can't take the violence out of the game. It is what it is. So it's a situation where all you can do is try to protect the young man. That's what we're trying to do, trying to protect them as much as they can. But the bottom line is this is organized violence, assault and battery becomes legal on game day.
Did you have an adjustment period? I mean, obviously you got humbled 2 years and things changed, but did you have an adjustment period psychologically with just, there's something that you can go out and just knock the crap out of people.
No,
and then you got to stop and you can't be violent anymore. Was there a reprogramming period of
big time, Anthony? You know that. And with football, there are no pickup football games. No basketball, you can play pickup basketball. You can play softball when it comes to baseball. There are no pickup. I can't walk down the street with my pads in my hand looking for a pickup game. And when it's over, it's over. So it was definitely an adjustment. It was an adjustment that was unbelievable for me. You go through all the pains of, okay, how did I find that high again? And that goes back to what I was saying. I lost a lot of money trying to start all these businesses looking for that high, because I always tell people I can't walk in Walmart and put my hands up and do this and 70,000 start screaming. You just don't get that high anymore. So when you have to walk away from that high of playing football, being able to hit somebody, you have to go through an adjustment period where it just doesn't happen anymore. I constantly tell my players, a lot of the seniors, that get ready for it. It's coming. It's a situation. I played arena ball for a couple of years after I played in the NFL, just to release some of the tension. I went to see a psychologist, and I told him, you said, that's what you need to go play. You need to get it out. You haven't done it, go get. And then once I realized that you just can't play this anymore. You are physically not capable of playing this anymore. I got arthritis in my ankle, and my back started hurting, and you start realizing I can't play this game anymore and walking away from it. But it's still tough to walk away from the game of football.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. That's funny that you said that, because I literally went to counseling myself. It's like I don't know how to cope with anger adjustment, and I'm just completely wired different, I think. And as you get older, you realize why you're programmed that way. Mm-hmm. And I did the arena thing for $400 a week, which was horrific money. And running into walls was worse than being able to step out of bounds. So yeah, it had its things. In closing, and again, I appreciate your time. I know you guys hit with the storm. We got hit with a tornado a little bit east of me. I'm in the Cleveland market. Okay. But if any player or and obviously this isn't your personal connection, but any outlets, social you want to drop, or any way that if it's going to your site and filling out a questionnaire, what's the best way to connect with you guys?
That's the best way. Go to our website. Come to our camps. We have camps in the summer. I think they're on our website right now. We'd love for guys to come to our camps and get evaluated and check everything out. And again, we offer guys from our camps. So it's not a situation where we'll see a guy at a camp and then we'll go watch film and say, man, this guy can play. And we'll give him a call and we'll offer. So you get offers from our camp. It's definitely a situation where they can come and do what they're capable of doing. If they show that they have the skills for what we're looking for, we'll definitely go back and watch game film and watch practice film and make sure those guys and make the calls that we need to make about their character as a person. Because, everybody puts on that good face in front of you, Anthony. It's afterwards you got to make sure you're making those calls and doing those things. But, here at Robert Morris University, like I said, it's all about, helping these guys become better men, better husbands, and better fathers. The most important thing they're going to be when they leave football, when they get into life, those are things they're going to need to be more than anything else. I'm not a father myself, but I always tell guys, hey, make sure that, and I always say you want to be better. You want to be a better man, a better husband, and a better father, and put yourself in that position.
Coach, I appreciate it. It's great connecting with you, and I do know firsthand you guys offer on the campsite. I've seen it at my own camps. I had one at Mercyhurst, and we had a lineman, and they went right up and said, we got to get you. And he played as a freshman, which was rare. I mean, when I was a freshman, I was carrying equipment and doing mudslides. Now
Yeah.
they're talking about I want to play and be paid, but it's a whole nother segment. But I appreciate it, Coach, and get through that storm and good luck this upcoming year. We'll keep sending guys out.
Thanks, Anthony. I appreciate it very much.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
You too.
College sports is a big business, a multi-billion-dollar business. So how do high school athletes get noticed by college coaches? At Athletic Scholarship Corporation, we provide nationwide recruiting services and get scholarship offers for our clients.